This is attorney Shilpa Malik, the managing attorney at VisaNation Law Group. Today, we are here to talk about the myths and the truth associated with all the rumors and articles and possibly posts that you see about traveling internationally under the current administration. We're going to cover green card holders. We're going to cover visa holders. Just so you are aware, a lot of this is creating fear in the minds of people, and we are hoping to address some of those fears and make you understand that each case obviously is specific to its own facts, and this is just meant as general information and should not be construed as being applicable to every specific scenario. But we wanted to address some of these traveling concerns, as we're getting a lot of emails and calls from our clients who are worried about international travel at this point in time. So without further ado, I am going to talk about green card holders first. Now, green card holders are permanent residents of the United States. They've already been through the immigration process, have been vetted by the US government before being issued a green card. That said, as a green card holder, while you enjoy certain rights in the United States, it's not the same as being a US citizen. So if a green card holder has a criminal conviction or a past immigration violation, that is still a concern. I would recommend that they speak to an immigration attorney before scheduling any international travel. If you have all your records and this information was disclosed to USCIS before your green card was issued, usually you will not encounter any issues. But if post getting your green card, you've been arrested or you've had any other serious violation, it is highly recommended that you speak to an immigration attorney before traveling internationally. Now, for those who had a prior criminal conviction and eventually were able to get a green card after making full disclosure to USCIS, be sure to carry certified records of all of these arrests or convictions, if any, with you, so that when you do come back, you have the documentation to show to a CBP officer that here are all my documents. You can see that this happened X amount of years ago. USCIS is fully aware. I got my green card after that. They'll probably put you in secondary inspection for a brief while, ensure that everything is in order, nothing is outstanding, and let you go through. That is not a cause of concern. It's just an inconvenience at best. So please do not worry too much in those scenarios. On the other hand, if you're a green card holder who's never been arrested, has no convictions, no immigration violations, please feel free to travel internationally as long as you're not going to one of those countries that is likely on a possible travel ban list. If you are going to such a country, be prepared to answer questions on your return as to what was the purpose of your visit. Were you visiting family, or were there any specific reason that you needed to travel to a country which is likely not in the best of terms with the United States at the moment? Having said that, if you're traveling to visit family in other countries or for work, just carry your documents, carry your valid green card, carry your passport that's valid, and come back to the United States in a timely manner after you complete your visit so that you do not really have any issues while coming back in. One other thing that I would like to add is for conditional permanent residents who have a 2-year green card based on a marriage to a U.S. citizen. In that scenario, please remember, you are subject to some questioning at the port of entry upon your return if you're still in a valid bona fide marriage with your U.S. citizen spouse, if you both are still living together, or have there been any concerns pertaining to the marriage as far as, the standing of the relationship is concerned. Are you still together? Are you cohabitating, etc.? So be ready to answer those questions as confidently as you can. If you are separated from your spouse or are in the midst of a divorce proceeding, please consult an immigration lawyer before traveling, because that would lead to increased scrutiny upon reentry. Now, before I get down to other visa holders, I would like to have my colleague, Attorney Katyana Quindemil, speak briefly about what to expect when you enter the United States when it comes to your electronic devices.
My name is Katyana Quindemil, and as Shilpa mentioned, I'm one of the attorneys here at the firm, and I'm going to be discussing briefly what to expect when you're entering the United States as related to electronics and your personal devices. Now, Visa and Green Card holders alike traveling international must and should be aware that CBP can search your electronic devices, potentially leading to delays or denials of entry. So keep this in mind in your travels. CBP officers can search your electronic devices, phones, laptops, etc., without a warrant, and you may be asked to unlock them or provide passwords so they can access. Now, keep in mind that a refusal to cooperate with the electronic device searches or other refusals from CBP or requests from CBP officers can result in delays, detention, or even a denial of entry. Immigration enforcement at airports is reportedly increasing, and both Visa and Green Card holders may face heightened scrutiny, including questions about social media activity and your digital footprint. It's imperative that before you planning any international travels, to consult with an immigration attorney about your specific case. That way that they can discuss potential complexities and risks and how you in particular steps that you can take to protect your interests. You must take steps to protect your privacy on social media and electronic devices. And we would advise considering leaving personal devices at home if possible to avoid this. If you do anticipate a potential issue at the border, make sure you have a trusted friend. Alert this individual or family member beforehand and provide with them your immigration attorney's contact information. That way, if anything does arise, you reach out to the trusted friends and they could contact your attorney and they can proceed and help you at the border. If you need any kind of language assistance during inspection, do not hesitate to ask for an interpreter. If you do not request an interpreter, you may risk saying something that you did not intend to state. Ultimately, and finally, know your rights. Understanding your rights as a Visa or Green Card holder, including your right to refuse to answer questions and how this may incriminate you, is imperative. So make sure that if you have any international travel plans, to consult with an immigration attorney beforehand so they can discuss your specific matters. Now back to Shilpa with any final points.
That was very helpful. I completely agree with what you're saying in terms of being careful about what's on your electronic devices, including laptops, iPads, and phones, and that was very solid advice. Now, moving on to non-immigrant and dual intent visa holders. I will first talk about dual intent visa holders or work visa holders. Let's start with the H-1B, the O-1, or the L-1A visa holders, or the L-1 visa holders per se. Individuals who have work visas in the United States, as long as you're legitimately employed with a U.S. employer and have a valid petition approval as applicable to your kind of visa category, and have a valid visa on your passport as corresponds to that petition approval, you should not have any issues traveling and returning to the United States. The only caveat is the same if you have any arrests or immigration violations. Always consult with an immigration attorney. It's better to be safe than sorry. So obviously, you're requested to review your case in detail. Ensure that you do not see any violations. Ensure your paperwork is in order. Ensure you're gainfully employed. Ensure you have your pay stubs. Have an employment verification letter that's currently dated, and you should be okay to travel and return to the United States. You may be asked a couple of questions. Your electronics may be subject to a search, but as long as you follow all the precautions and do the right thing, you should not have any issues coming back to the United States. Now, in terms of people who hold student visas, there is a very good concern about them leaving the United States and not being able to come back to the United States if they're at the end of their program or the end of their OPT. In these circumstances, again, as long as your program is still not over or you're still employed, you should not have any issues returning to the US if you have valid travel documents, including an I-20, an employment verification letter, pay stubs to show that you're complying with your F1 OPT or STEM OPT status. And if you're an F1 student who hasn't started working yet, please carry correspondence or a letter from your university confirming that you're in full compliance with your F1 student status. Now, just a word of caution for all visa holders. If you do not have a valid visa on your passport and are planning to travel to your home country or another country, to get a visa stamped at a U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate in that country, you may be subject to additional scrutiny and or administrative processing, or they may be delaying your process by weeks in order to issue the visa to you, because there is a directive from the Trump administration to closely scrutinize all visa applications that are being presented at U.S. consulate and U.S. embassies worldwide. The interview waiver is completely discretionary and has been greatly reduced in the last couple of months. So do not be surprised that if you were expecting an interview waiver, the consular officer still expects you to come for an interview based on certain information that they may have discovered or they may wish to clarify by having you come in. Be careful and be prepared for such delays. And again, we're not saying that these delays are definitely going to happen, but they are likely to happen. So if you're prepared, you will not face a lot of issues. At this point in time, again, our recommendation remains, when you have a doubt, please speak to an immigration attorney. Ensure you share all the data with them so that they can give you accurate legal advice. Having said that, if you leave the United States and you come back to the US, the Port of Entry officer has every right to question you, to ask you things that are not necessarily very comfortable. Just maintain your poise, be confident, answer truthfully, and everything should work out just fine.